Good morning, everyone. It is Stephen and Andrea from Pin in the Atlas, and as you can hear, it's very quiet, very peaceful. Where exactly are we this morning?
Well, we are in the small town of Cochise. We're starting our ghost town tour, and this is the first one. Now, Cochise was named after that famous Apache chief, Cochise, who is buried not far from here in Cochise Stronghold. Now, Cochise was actually a fuel stop for the Southern Pacific Railroad, so it wasn't a mining town. And the railroad used to stop right outside this hotel behind me. The Cochise Hotel, built in 1897, was the main stop, and it was built by a railroad telegrapher by the name of John Rath. He also had a Wells Fargo office in the front room of the hotel. Now today, the town of Cochise only has about 50 residents, but it used to have 3,000. I do have a fun fact about the hotel behind me. Can you remember Big Nose Kate, who was the girlfriend of Doc Holliday from Tombstone? Well, she used to work here just after Doc Holliday died. True story.
So today, as you can see, the Cochise Hotel looks empty, but it is not abandoned. It has been turned into a bed and breakfast, and I think it would be a really wonderful place to stay. Like I mentioned earlier, it's really peaceful out here. The only noise you might get, and you'd get a lot of it, is directly across. Railroad still passes through here. One thing I love about these buildings is these porches. The big wraparound porches. And see, they've furnished it perfectly with a rocking chair. That's where you want to be on a summer afternoon. There's the Cochise Hotel, which is now the bed and breakfast. And then this building right next to it. Now if you can see up there on the sign, you can just barely make out the outline of like a donkey and a gentleman with a cowboy hat on pulling it or holding it. Doesn't look like the mule's too happy to be being pulled, does it? Got some of the old antiques resting against the side of the building here, like those metal rings outside the wagon wheels. Some bales of wire. Old wood-burning stove, possibly. So this building used to be the general store. Now there are only 3 buildings from the 1800s, late 1800s, that survive to this day. One being this building, the original church. The other 2 we filmed earlier. The hotel, which is now the bed and breakfast, and the general store, which had the donkey on the front. And unfortunately everything is all locked up, so I can't even give you a sneak peek of what it looks like inside. Probably looks like a church. Now we're not sure if this building is original or when it was built. There's nothing kind of out here, a plaque or anything, but the Faro Bank is interesting nonetheless. See, they could have hung an original banner or sign off of this. We have walked through the entire town now and have discovered something. We don't believe Cochise is technically a ghost town. One, because there seems to be a lot of residents that still live here. Almost every place we pass seems to be occupied. And 2, they still have an operating post office. So I think that's going to wrap it up here in Cochise. Where are we off to next?
Well, the next town is the town of Pierce, which is on the Ghost Town Trail. Let's explore. Welcome to the town of Pierce, and our first stop is the Pierce Jail. Let's take a look.
Wow. Welcome to jail. How friendly is that? Now, we don't know a whole lot about this jail. What we do know is it's locked up tight, like any really good jail should be. But what we read on this information plaque here, you can pause and read that if you would like to. I'll just give you the gist of it. It was built in 1915 at a cost of $615.45. It was then closed in the 1930s. So they did get 15 good years out of it. But it is still standing and looks to be in remarkable shape. Just do a walk around of the property here. So there's a whole bunch of broken up pieces. There used to be something there, but there's no information about it whatsoever. So it's just a pile of rubble now. And here's the back entrance.
So apparently there are 2 cells inside, and they are divided by 10-inch thick walls. And the only air vents, there's 6 air vents. You can see the one here, there's one at the front, and 2 on either side. Let's see if I can point. You can just one there and one there. And that's just the air that would have gone through the jail. Must have been very dark and humid and disgusting inside. So I've just signed our names in the journal. Let's see what else is around town.
Welcome to Pierce Ghost Town Trail. Again, these signs are so friendly. So this was the old post office. There you go, you can pause and read. So this beautiful old building, the post office, served 2,500 people back in the heyday, but it was decommissioned in the late 1960s. Now it is a private residence. What a place to call home. Now great little shops. You hear the wind chimes? Buy those in there. Just look at all the knickknacks out there. Incredible. Old saddle. Keeping that post nice and warm. Just beyond the store, you got another old homestead of some sorts. An old wagon here.
Oh, look at the old washing machine.
Yeah. Looks like this could be a museum. You got a pathway walking around this old pickup truck here. It's like old farming equipment lying around. So yeah, my bet would be that this is an outdoor museum.
So how old would that truck be? 1940s, would you say?
Maybe a little earlier.
The donkey in the background.
Got short legs.
He's adorable.
Great thing about these towns is they do have their history out on display. Like back here, believe that could have been like an original hoist that the ore cart's sitting in now. Drop that down into the mine, take the miners down, bring the ore carts up. Sounds like fun.
So the Commonwealth mine was actually opened in 1894, and over the course of its life it produced $88 million of silver and $2.5 million of gold. It also had a 200 stamp mill. That's massive.
That is huge. Wonder where the remnants of that is. I'd like to see that.
So this little general store here was built the same year as the post office in 1896, and the big store next door was built in 1900.
That's quite a bit bigger.
So the town of Pierce was named after a gentleman called James Pierce. Now the story goes, he was travelling through and stopped to rest, and he was playing with a rock. The rock broke open and gold was discovered inside. True story.
Now here's the other side of the mercantile, which the more you look at it, the more it looks like it should have been a hotel. I mean, it's massive. No, it doesn't really have much of a second story there. But still, I wish it said it was a hotel. So we're going to carry on this direction, see what else we can find. Here's the old Pierce Church, which is on the National Register of Historic Places.
Now, unfortunately, there's a no trespassing sign, so we can't get in. But this church was built in 1893, according to the sign.
Anyways, we'll show you the grounds. And that's it.
So let's see if we can find the churchyard, the cemetery.
We have made it to the historic Pierce Cemetery. In memory of our stalwart pioneers and their descendants who settled the Sulphur Springs Valley. They were farmers, gamblers, homesteaders, laborers, merchants, miners, ranchers, and soldiers. May they rest in peace.
And I also want to add to that, mothers, fathers, sons, daughters, brothers, sisters, and babies.
Nearly this entire section is filled with babies, some unknown. The marker might just say, baby girl, baby boy. These two brothers, look how they died back in 1909. They froze to death. This gentleman right here is a hero, and I salute him. Mr. Jefferson A. Burnett was in World War I. Passed away December 26, 1965. This man fought to defend our freedoms, our rights to make a choice, our right to live the life that we want to. We should all stand up and recognize that. Another fallen soldier. He paid the ultimate price. Don't let the battle he fought go in vain. Stand up and fight for these people. Stand up and fight for our freedom. This, I believe, is quite the find. Sergeant George H. Platt. He was a member of the Union Light Guard, 7th Independent Company, Ohio Volunteer Cavalry. It was established to serve as bodyguards and mounted escorts for President Abraham Lincoln. What an honor. Berg Vault. This vault was exhumed in 2008. Vault protected the coffin inside. So what's protecting the coffin now? And why did they remove it? Very strange. So here's the entire cemetery. There's still quite a few unmarked graves, which is something that we've been finding a lot in these historic and ghost town cemeteries. It's quite sad. It'd be a great thing to do, just come out with some flowers, put one on one of the graves, let them know that they are not forgotten. Now we've driven around the other side of this little mountain here in front of us, and you can see all the roads crisscrossing it. We did see some mine entrances. They are all closed off with some steel doors. So we did not find any evidence of the 200 stamp mill, which would have been absolutely massive. It only operated for 4 years because in 1900 it burnt down. So now the population around 1919 was around 1,500 people. Unfortunately, though, it steadily started to decline when the Great Depression hit. And unfortunately, things didn't get any better. So by 1940, the whole mining operation completely closed, and Pierce became the ghost town we know it today.
So this house behind us is one of the original houses in Pierce. It was built in 1895 in Tombstone, and when the gold rush started, it was literally packed up and brought here. So this is where we're going to leave Pierce, and we're going to head on to the next ghost town of Cortland. See you there. So unfortunately, there's not an awful lot left of Cortland. However, there is this old jail. We weren't able to film inside because there was too much bad graffiti, but here are some photos of the outside. Now, this jail was built in 1909 with reinforced concrete. It had 2 cells with 2 toilets at a cost of $1,000. But by the 1930s, parts were removed and they were used elsewhere. Now, I do have one fun fact about Cortland. There was only ever one murder here, and it happened to be a waitress who shot her boyfriend during an argument over another woman. Go figure. Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. True story. So here we are at Gleeson, outside the Gleeson jail, which was built in 1910. Now, the original building was actually only built of wood, and this building replaced it. Let's take a look.
Alright, as we can see, they've still got some Halloween decorations out. Ah, so what this skeleton is hanging off of was the original door from the wooden jail.
Wow.
Still in really good shape.
Unfortunately, it's all locked up. I don't know whether or not you'll be able to see anything.
Well, we can definitely see the window at the other side. That's about it. Well, we can walk around the outside. Old wagon.
Old barrel.
That's cool. See, they've made a well out of tires. Painted them to look like bricks.
The old, where the bars used to be.
Cemented in.
Air vents.
Bench. Isn't this an original iron?
And these are from another bench.
Pickaxe head. Probably from old water pipe. Out back. Well, they've got
Grinding stones.
yeah.
The old car.
Belongs to the Gleason jail.
And shot full of bullet holes by the looks of it. You can see another air vent.
I think a bird's made its home up there. Looks like that's going to do it for the jail. Here I've zoomed in to show you that there's a hoisting rig over there, right by all those tailing piles, and you can see the remains keep going along this hillside.
So this was an old copper mine. It was discovered by John Gleason, who was here mining turquoise, because all of the Native Americans used to own this land and turquoise was their main source of income. They would sell it to other tribes. Now there's one thing, the town actually got burnt down in 1912 and there wasn't hardly anything left.
We just spotted some old ruins over here, so we're gonna go take a look at them. Not sure if this is the old hospital, maybe the old school, but we'll get a closer look. So there are some intriguing things about this building. One is you see all those doors, and there's some windows that are taller than them. Now you would think there'd be a second story, something on here, because we're going up the front steps and you see there's one step that's just gone. But as you see Andrea walking around, that looks like ground level. So not sure how this entrance used to be. We'll have to see if we can find some old images of it. See, you got these columns that go up. So Could have been quite tall at some point. And then again, over here, the windows, they all seem to be what should be ground floor. Let's go down inside. Here's those rows of windows. So we're still trying to figure out if this was a school or a hospital. Obviously, with there being only the foundations, it's going to be very hard to determine that. Now see. This was that main entrance. So it only shows one step that has crumbled away. So this couldn't be the floor because I'd be hitting my head. A very narrow opening. So here along the back there are steps going down into what would be basement level. So unless this is all filled up with so much sediment that it feels higher. And who knows, perhaps underneath those front right there, like I said, it would have been a very short roof for me personally. Maybe that was just some kind of a small storage area. Who knows? But yet, we still have no idea what this building was. This here was a rather wide door. Double doors, I'm assuming, which are in hospitals and schools. So still, no answer. Here's an interesting piece of history. One, it is an absolutely gorgeous tree. It's been here for a very long time. Second part about it, though, this used to be the jail tree before the jail was built.
Old chains in the tree, and apparently the prisoners were chained to this metal rope, and the children used to walk past and throw things at the prisoners.
At least they were in the shade. This is a very large tree. And see here
If you come around here, you can actually see where the tree has grown over the rope. So if you think about it, if the jail that we just saw was built in 1910, prior to that there was an old wooden jail, this would have been 1900s or late 1800s. That they used this as the jail tree. I wonder if anybody was ever hung from this tree, because it's big enough to be hung from as well. It's some of those huge branches.
there are substantial limbs. If we can make it out there, some stone foundations. And here is the general store, or what's left of it anyway. Looks like the one side's completely open. Yeah. Seen some better days for sure. Wall and roof caved in.
This is all adobe brick, isn't it?
Yeah, it looks like it. Covered in a plaster. And here you can see some holes in the floor, so there must be a basement. Or if we can go around back and see if there's an entry point. Maybe get a different look at this. Because that's entirely too unsafe to even attempt to step anywhere near it. Now we're at the back of the general store. There's a doorway here that leads towards the basement. Anything interesting?
It's too dilapidated. I wouldn't go in there.
Yeah, the whole floor's caved in. And you can smell the mildew and the wood rot. Definitely dangerous. Alright everyone, that's going to do it for this first video on the Ghost Town Trail. Stay tuned to see what next towns we get into.
And in the meantime, get out there, go put another pin in the atlas, and we will see you on our next adventure. Bye.
Bye.
Now, I do have one fun fact about Cortland. There was only ever one murder here, and it happened to be a waitress who shot her boyfriend during an argument over another woman. Go figure. Hell hath no fury. Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. True story.